Hello everyone. Today we will see how to create a table in MySQL. Fine. So for that I have created one database. The name of that database is university. Now I want to create table inside that. So let us first go through the syntax of create table. So to create a table in MySQL you have to write create table, then name of the table, and then in brackets you have to write the name of the columns, or you can say the name of the attributes, its data type, its size, and various constraints to be applied on that. Fine. So let us see the syntax of that. So suppose I am going to have column number 1, then I have to provide data type of that column, and again in bracket I have to provide the size of that. Fine. Same way we'll have another column, but before having another column we'll have the constraints on that also. Fine. Same way we will have column number, again data type of that column, again size of that column, and then we have to provide constraints on that column. Fine. Same way we will have various columns as per the requirement of the table. Fine. Apart from that we'll also have to specify where the primary keys or foreign keys for a specific column. So for that you can specify key over here. Fine. So this is the basic structure of creating a table. Fine. Now let us see the demonstration of that. Okay, so let's go to SQL. I'm using XMPP. You can use MySQL also, you can use WAMP also. If you are going to use Linux, then you can use LAMP also. Fine. So here to create a table we'll have to write a query like create table. I'm going to give the name of the table, say department. Fine. Then in bracket I'm going to provide various columns of that table. So the very first column I'm going to give is say department ID, then the type of that, say I'm going to give it as an integer, then I'm going to give the size of this, let's say 3. Fine. Then I'm going to have another column, that is a department name. Fine. This data type of that I'm going to give varchar. The size of that I'm going to give 20, and I'm having another column, say building. Fine. Okay, for that I'm also going to give varchar, and the size I'm going to give 20. Fine. Now I want to give various constraints on the columns. So for department ID, say I'm going to give a constraint like it should be an auto increment. Fine. So one by one it is going to increment the value. For department name I'm going to give one constraint that it should not be null. Fine. So I can have this kind of constraint, it should not be null, and for building I'm not going to give any constraint. Fine. Apart from that I want to keep department ID as a primary key. Fine. So for that I have to write primary key, and then in bracket I have to write the name of the attribute or the name of the column. So that will be department underscore ID. Fine. Now whenever we are going to provide any whenever we are going to declare any key as a primary key, then in that particular case uh, again we don't have to provide the size, and whenever we are going to specifically whenever we are going to keep something as an auto increment, then the size of that attribute it is not required. Fine. So over here I have defined a primary key. Fine. Okay, so this is the query. I hope this one is clearly visible to you. Fine. So create table name, then in bracket I have to provide department, I have to provide the name of the columns, the size of that, auto increment, as well as if I want to give another constraint like it should not be null, then that also can be given. Fine, not null. So this way, this is the query for creating a table. Create table department ID, integer, auto increment, not null, department name varchar 20, constraint not null, building varchar 20, and I'm going to define a primary key department ID. Fine. So now let us click on the go button. So here your table has been created. On the left hand side you can see in university database you will find one table that is called department. Fine. Whenever you are going to click on the department, it is going to show various columns of that, but it is not going to display any data inside that. Fine, because we simply created the table. So this way we can create a table in MySQL. Thank you very much.